We have joining us on the phone right now is our senior counsel for global affairs, but also the former Secretary of State of the United States during this period of time, Mike Pompeo. Mike, it's shocking because by name, I guess you're used to this. Of course, you're mentioned in this memo by Zarif, and he's basically accusing the United States administration, then President Trump, you, and others of diplomacy that was photo op based, that he agreed with Putin that that the United States is excessively weaponizing the dollar. It's leading to world pulling away from the dollar as a currency of choice. He's talking to them about the value of the JCPOA. And this is all going on while you wisely got us out of the JCPOA. Your reaction to this memo?
It's really something. I hadn't seen the memo before, Jay. The ACLJ should be incredibly proud that they unearthed this and made this public so the American people can see what is pretty outrageous conduct and, frankly, not surprising. You have to remember who the characters in the room were, right? These are Foreign Minister Zarif, one who had Senator Feinstein and John Kerry meeting with routinely as if he was some Iranian moderate. He was someone we should listen to, when in fact he was a thug that had been part of an organization that had killed so many Americans. Here they are meeting with him while these former ambassadors are not on watch. And, of course, we knew even when we were still in office that John Kerry had done the same kind of thing multiple times, where he had met with Foreign Minister Zarif to basically tell him, don't worry, the cavalry's coming, the Trump team will be gone, Pompeo will be gone, these folks will pass along. And when they do, we'll rejoin the JCPOA. As it appears, the Biden team is actually trying to fulfill the Kerry prophecy there and give you all the money that the Ayatollahs desperately want. To see this memo in living color is truly remarkable, to watch former American State Department officials behave with a then-sitting foreign secretary of a theocratic, kleptocratic regime that is the world's largest state sponsor of terror.
So I'm trying to put myself, if I was in your shoes here, and look, I represented the president, and I was, there were leaks. We all knew that. We all had to deal with that. Documents would get out that weren't supposed to. During the impeachment, stuff was being leaked to media. I mean, that's normal. But here you are negotiating the United States' best interests. You're our Secretary of State. And then at the same time the very same time you're doing that, and you may have been, I don't know if you were in New York or if you were in Geneva or wherever you were, Zarif is meeting with former administration officials with the Obama-Biden, now the President Biden, but then Vice President Biden's administration officials, undercutting exactly what you're doing on foreign policy.
It's galling, it's dangerous, and it's un-American. And I've said that before with respect to Secretary Kerry's behavior. Look, I'm now the former Secretary of State. I, from time to time, meet with government officials from other nations.
Sure.
I always avoid anything that has to do with American policy because I'm not the Secretary of State anymore. I'll talk to them. I'll be friendly. If they say something they want me to pass along, I will pass it along to Secretary Blinken or his team to make sure he knows precisely what was said. That is not how these folks behave. They were trying to cut our knees out from under us. They were trying to stop us from what we were doing. They never, in that sense, fully left office, Jay, and that's both un-American and dangerous.
Logan has a question for you.
Yeah, as Secretary of State, you obviously spent a lot of time to sort of root out the deep state within the State Department, but we're getting these kind of documents. Can you describe to our audience sort of the challenge of what that is and how that worked, and obviously how much work clearly is left to be done?
Yes, Jordan, unfinished business for sure at the State Department. Look, there are good people there. There's folks who are trying to do the right thing. But large segments of the career bureaucracy at the State Department have an establishment view of foreign policy. This would be the Biden-Obama administration view of foreign policy. And for my 1,000 days as Secretary of State, we were working to deliver on what was a very different understanding of the world. We put America first, not a globalist idea first. And we were running into the internal resistance of the State Department. Jay talked about some of the things, leaks, undercutting us, working on Capitol Hill with Democrats to undermine our efforts. It was an extraordinarily difficult place to deliver on what the American people had asked when they elected President Trump. And there remains an awful lot of work to do there. I have a theory on how we can fix this, but it's going to take another conservative president who's prepared to go do that hard work.
Yeah, I sure want to hear that because one of the things that I'm concerned about here, and that is and I experienced this when you're at the highest levels of government as you were, and I was outside of it, but representing the highest level of government. There was always this undercutting that was going on, sometimes inside, sometimes outside, and you dealt with it. What is more difficult is when the government you're dealing with are knowingly, willfully, wantingly soliciting this kind of engagement from former U.S. officials to undercut the very policy you're trying to put in place. And did you all, and I don't want you to disclose anything you can't disclose, but did you all just expect that would be going on while you were in office?
Yeah, I'll be a little careful there. But with respect to Iran, the particular document that you have now unearthed through amazing work, that we knew this was taking place. We knew Kerry was doing this. We watched his travels. There's a fellow who was the Secretary of Energy under them named Ernest Moniz. He and Kerry were traveling to meet with the Iranian leadership, and we knew the storyline they were telling them. We talked about this when we were in. We said, these guys are out there trying to undermine what we're doing. They've told the Iranian leadership that this ship will pass, and if they're just patient, they can just hang on and continue to terrorize their own people and deny their own people their basic human rights, that life will return to normal when President Trump is ultimately gone. So it is both indecent and un-American, Jay. We knew it was going on, but it wouldn't shock me to find that that's going on even in other places during our time in office as well, and we don't yet know about it. I hope the ACLJ will continue to do the hard work in FOIA to get that information out. The American people need to know that there are people inside of their government who leave government and then work against the interests of the duly elected leaders of this government.
We've so much more to talk about. We're out of time, but Secretary Pompeo, thank you so much for your insight on this.